turn that down. Ready? Where do I even begin? So, oh, what am I thinking? What's up, Paint TV Army? Paint and TV 3865 back again with another video. I'm a bit nervous. Where do I even begin? What do I even say, you know? I'm back. And it's been one hell of a ride these past 2 months that I've been gone. Let's see. I'm gonna just mark every little box on the checklist for y'all real quick and show y'all what I marked. I had this whole spiritual awakening. I had this whole coming of age trip thing. I'm tanner, stronger, I'm thinner, got a better jawline. I can do this now. Whatever the fuck that is, I learned what that is when I was gone. I was detached from all technology, showers, toilet, and toilet paper for 7 whole weeks and thrown in the woods. Yeah. I'm better. I've matured. I've grown a lot. For these past 7 weeks, I have been living in the Tonto National Forest under the supervision and the care and the education of the Anasazi Foundation, which is a wilderness therapy program made for helping troubled kids. As you all know, my dad died, and I Logan Paul'd him on YouTube. I hate to say it. There is no real justification for that besides me being in shock and having no other way to cope with it. At my dad's funeral, I was in shock. I felt nothing. I had no sense of reality anymore, and I just recorded it for the sake of looking back on it and remembering it like I had to remember it. It was like a part of my life, and that was evil. I could have remembered the funeral, but it was just too painful not to forget, and that's why I did that. But that really messed me up. Excuse me 1 second. I see the cameras all the lights all glitching out stuff. So, yep. For about a year, I held on to the pain of me losing my dad, my grandpa, Jaden, Cheyenne, and Olivia, and all my friends in school, and at the time of being heavily bullied, worse than ever in my entire life, at this charter school. Charter schools are tiny. It's more isolated and full of way more bullshit than you expect. I held on to that for a year without really getting much counseling or therapy. A year later, I'm in a new school, new friends, with my mom in a new house instead of living in a cubicle like I did before, and I'm an asshole. I threw things, I broke things, I hit things, you know. I hit a lot. There's holes in the wall. I was really fucked up, you know. I was mentally ill. You know, I was awfully depressed, and I've been like that my entire life since Tennessee. I don't really want to get in depth into it, but what's been happening? Here's what's been happening. Here's how I've been helped and changed by this awesome foundation that you should look into. Not the go-to, but maybe the work at when you're older, or the donate or invest in maybe you can call some of the staff there that I've worked with, and you can go to them for advice because they have great advice there. Anyways, yeah, so here I am. My mom dropped me off. See you in 7 weeks, drives off. I get welcomed in by these three awesome people. And when strangers are just too nice to you and you think they're going to kill you or traffic you. I thought I was being trafficked at the time, but no. I get put into some new hiking clothes. I help fill all my resupply bags that I'm going to get over the weeks, and 5 hours of driving later, I'm sleeping in the middle of the desert in a sleeping bag. In the middle of the desert. I couldn't believe it. Mother Nature was nice, and we had a clear skies, a full moon, and there was no rain. I would be regretting taking that for granted later in my, what they call walking. I remember sitting in front of a fire that night, just eating mac and cheese I had to make myself, and I was like, why can't my mom make me food out here? Why can't they make me food? I always took that for granted, And I was like, some kids' moms don't make them food. Some kids actually have to live like that. That was a little spiritual awakening that I had. They're called awakenings. Discovering parts of yourself that you've never thought you'd discover, like I did. I had a lot of them. I read this book called The Seven Paths that went over like the whole kind of monk philosophy thing of the Anasazi culture. And I believe it's like a Navajo thing. It's native culture, which is something, my dad was native and part native, and that's the stuff he all believe in is like the Christian native culture. So I'm going to just give you the rundown of the philosophy, as I call it, the very insightful, wise knowledge that may sound mind-boggling at first, but if you actually invest your time into studying these things and maybe reading the book called The Seven Paths, or looking into this man called Ezekiel Sanchez, which is I think he's the founder of the organization. He'll teach you a lot. So life, they refer to it as a walking, because you're always moving in life. You never really stop moving. Age comes up, but it never goes down. And you have a choice to either walk forward towards the light, the brightness, walk towards multiple heavenly things, like good and doing good and being kind to others and following the seven virtues or whatever. Or you can walk backwards towards the darkness of sin and evil and bad things. And kids who are walking backwards but deny it, but know they are. Deep down inside, kids who walk backwards know they are. It's called the gift of knowing right from wrong. See, there's these things that we get 3 gifts in life. This is also an Anasazi thing. We get the gift of choice, which follows up with the gift of consequences, and the gift of knowing from right and wrong. These things are not privileges, because every human is born the same. We are all we. We all walk as we walk forward towards the light. And by us helping each other that are walking backwards like Anasazi did me, we all walk as we. That's a thing that they say here. That's their slogan. We walk as we. Yeah, but anyways, like I was saying, deep down inside, the kids who are walking backwards, or the adults, deep down inside, they know what they're doing is wrong. That's what guilt is. That's what, remorse is. That's the gift of knowing right from wrong. That's what the foundation is made for. And they take these kids, they throw them in the middle of the forest. You know what they force them to do? No, they don't force them. They never really force them. They forcefully help them if you'd say that, because every kid that's went there has, as far as I have heard, none of them have ever not whatever. I forgot English while I was out there. Listen, I've gone crazy. But none of them have really ever not followed in the path of walking forward. You know, they throw them on the trail and we hike. And hiking has been proven to be the best, like, therapeutic, exercise out there, Especially when you're in this beautiful, like, landscape where you can just look around and there's nothing but beauty, instead of being in a room and looking around and being like, oh, there's a bug on the wall, or being like, oh, what's that? Oh, that's an Xbox. Oh, here's my water. Oh, I dropped it. Fuck, whatever. Yeah, you have none of that out there. You're walking on the dirt, on the trail, and you're not just walking on the trails, what they refer to as the forest status. You're walking forward. You really get a lot of thinking time out there. 5 hours of hiking a day with minimum breaks really gets the mind going. Everybody's first awakening is remorse, and I feel that. No, it's denial. It's the 7 stages of grief literally happen on the trail. The denial is first. I'm going to go over this one. My first hike was so painful. After a week of doing this thing of what is called a rabbit stick, which is basically your training, you gain your own materials to make a friction fire set, and you make your own fire, which I busted a coal. That's what they refer to as busting. Yes. Oh yeah, my dirty mind is gone too. My mind is completely out of the gutter, and the gutter is a mile away. As shocked as that may make y'all, as shocked as y'all are about how I'm saying that, it's true. Anyways, yeah. Rabbit stick came from years ago, the Anasazi Foundation. It was to help adults. They were supposed to kill a rabbit with a stick or eat it or something. Yeah, like I said, it's a whole spiritual thing. But, as the years come, they realize that troubled kids are better to help than troubled adults, and that's the right decision. A rabbit stick is just a fun week. We learn how to cook. We get this nice food pack, and have fun with these things called trail walkers. The trail walkers are the staff that monitor you. We usually get 3 at a time, or 2, or never really 1. Then after a week of my completion, I meet the band, is what it's referred to as. Everybody. The band is we. Just everybody, and I meet these kids, and they're all hiking in with these big ass packs on that we have to make ourselves. No, we don't get backpacks. We have to wrap a whole bunch of our items into this tarp, and we have to tie a whole bunch of strings around it. They're called ribbon-knots, and we have to tie it together and put our own straps on it. It's this whole thing, so you never really get time to unpack when you want something. Like, everything that's packed before a hike, you got to get after the hike. So I meet the band, and we spend a couple days together. I'm enjoying life, and I'm like, man, wilderness out here is nice. I've had some of the best water in my life. Here comes the first day of hiking. Yeah, I really took all that for granted. When I came here, I was this is going to be light work. This is going to be easy, Oh, the camera's a bit. It's a bit too high. That's back to where it was. I'll just put it further. I'm going to capture my whole body. Alright, that's better. Yeah, so anyways, I make my first pack, and obviously I'm off pulse. Every time before a hike, we have to get on pulse, which is like, you gotta be hydrated in order to get your body moving and everything. And you gotta be nice and hydrated before every hike. You gotta be nice and fed, eat all that protein. Yeah, we're put on like a strict protein diet, man. It was like everything was powdered too. We had powdered cheese, milk, and butter, which is crazy. We had flour so we can make bread, and brown sugar, and this thing called Tang, which is kind of like Kool-Aid powder, but instead it's like Gatorade powder and comes in different flavors, and we can make a lot of things out here, like sugar cookies or bread or bean boats, empanadas, spaghetti, Italian food. You know, we had so many options to cook out here. And I only ate like 1 cup a day. I was obviously a beginner. First hike comes, and they said it's unfortunate for me since they don't usually have to go 30 miles in 1 week. They cut it down to about 10 miles or 15, I believe, because that was too fucking long and the weather was going to get pretty bad soon. Make my first pack, and I'm dying. I'm dying. I'm climbing up these mountains. Pack ain't even that heavy yet. Ended up making to the bottom, and I'm falling behind everybody. No one usually does this bad the first time they're hike, falling behind, crying, falling over, taking so many breaks. I was like, I can't, and because I wasn't eating like as much sodium or salt in my, and because there wasn't as much sodium or salt in my body, because I wasn't eating as much, there was nothing to absorb the water that I was constantly drinking because I was dying of thirst in the sun climbing up a mountain. I was pissing every 45 seconds, and every time I said I had to piss, they're like, they don't believe me, and it pissed me off even more, and I cried more. My face was red. Anyways, I'm falling behind everybody, and I'm in the back, and I'm following their footsteps on a creek bed, a dry creek bed on the bottom, which I hate those because I could never trust my footing, and I fell down every 5 seconds and hit my head, and a stick poked my arm, and a stick poked my arm. Ooh. Oh, shit couldn't be worse, you know? My first awakening. After denial, remorse. I was praying. It's time to spill the beans for all my, politically more, for people at my school with more strong political opinions that watch my videos, don't take offense to this. I am a Christian, conservative, white, straight male. Yes, I said it. Go ahead, kill me. Go ahead, kill me. Do it. Honestly, I don't really care. Society, you can't get far with saying that. And I am a very strong believer in God, or as we refer to him as the creator on the trail. You wanted some good news for you politically strong believers that watch my videos? I left behind politics after leaving here, so I'm not as conservative as I was. But I do live in a household that fortunately follows strongly those beliefs, but I try to stay away from politics as much as possible because I think it ruins friendships. But I am a believer in God. I do believe in Jesus, and I prayed every day and night and in the middle of hikes when shit got hard. And Ezekiel said in the books that the Creator walks with him on the trail, and helps him when he needs it. All you just gotta do is trust your footing and follow the path of the light. Let the wind and the water guide you. Trust the earth, for it loves you and it trusts you. It's this whole spiritual thing. And I was like, man, that's some really good advice. I've never really was a freaking, well, I don't even know what you call it, a girl who has all those magic stones in her room. They're like, they heal you or whatever, or zodiac signs. Oh, I'm a witch healer. I never really fucked with that spiritual shit, but doing that really helped me. After my first hike, after dying, I made it to camp, and later that night, I write my 10 notes, 10 pages to my mom, begging her to take me home, and some of the trail walkers even rooted for me because they saw that I had it awful. Mind you, I went in there, no training. I am spaghetti legs. My arms were like, I had no arms. I had so much fat on me. I was eating so much unhealthy shit. I was sitting in my chair playing games all day. Like, I had nothing really good going for me in life. And gave it a couple weeks. Still begging to go home. It was around my... Yeah. Should I? No, I'm going to try to remember the weeks on my own. It was around my third week where, trying to remember the different places we went to. Yeah, it was around my third week where I really started to accept things. And I started to really realize, hey, this place ain't as bad, you know. Sleeping with spiders, obviously, ain't that pleasant, or not wiping your ass for 7 weeks, or showering, or having to climb up fucking mountains while it's storming for 10 hours. We're going to get to that later. And just as I started to reach my acceptance phase, week 6 comes along. It's either week 5. It was around making it to the start of week 6, right? We get this new kid. Oh yeah, I met a lot of new kids out there too. I met these 3 guys. Oh, they said I could mention them on YouTube. Eli, Teo, and Isaac. 3 awesome people. I just had them on Snapchat today. Yeah, they all motivated me on hikes. I remember this thing Isaac used to say when I was climbing up a mountain. He was like, think about barbecue-covered titties, and that made me laugh. And the fact that it made me laugh and made me happy motivated me. It may look like I actually wanted to see barbecue-covered titties at the top of the mountain, but no, it was just because my friend was trying to help me, and it made me feel really good about myself. And Trailwalker once told me that I'm stronger than I think. And that may sound just like, oh, everybody says that, but no, like the way he said to me was so like convincing. It made me like have another awakening. That was my third awakening. My second one was gratitude, and it was my biggest. I'll get to that later, but my third one was definitely strength. If I was able to climb that mountain that day with 50 pounds on my back, I could do fucking anything. I'm not weak like I thought I was. I have the mental, physical capability to accomplish such tasks. Let me get the gratitude real quick. Second was gratitude. Second awakening. Why? Because. I'm going to just show you why. Real quick. When I came back, my mom greeted me to her, making me a gaming setup. She gave me a new chair. She gave me a monitor. She painted my room blue for me. She rearranged my bed. All my posters. Yes, your boy's still a Godzilla fan. Godzilla X Kong, I did see that when I got back. It was an awesome movie. She made me this walking stick. And she made me this piece of art too. Explain, not express. Which is basically like, you explain your feelings, not express them. I wrote that in the note of my shadow. Evan, shadows are your therapist that meets you once a week on the trails. Do a little counseling session with you, because you're going to need a counselor, obviously, out here, but whatever. All that before. And I mind you, I had none of that stuff before. And yet, I still took it for granted. I still took it for nothing but necessities. When kids out there, kids that actually have to live like that in poverty. Or in Africa where, they barely have any water out there. Or like in some other foreign country where they have to deal with terrorism or some shit. Take a toilet, for example. Out there we didn't have toilets. When I was washed, it was around my final week. My ass hair was crusty. When I washed in the shower, after 7 weeks of not showering and rolling around in the fucking dirt, black water came off of me. Nothing is a necessity. Nothing physical is a gift. Besides, like, your own body. It's only the spiritual and the psychological things that are gifts. But you must use them for the right of man, for the future of mankind. That's a Doc Ock quote from Spider-Man 2. Intelligence is not a privilege, it's a gift, and you must use it for the right of mankind. You got a point. Everything physical in life, this earth is a privilege. Look at what we're doing. We're destroying it. Anyways, whatever. you think life is bad right now, just gotta remind you, shit could be way worse. I mean, like, way worse. This is one time, like I said, start of week 6 maybe, we get this new kid named Jude. He's in here for the same reasons as all of us. He did something bad. You know, we all did something bad, right? That's pretty much how I can remember it. His first hike was like this. It was 1 hour long. Because we had to do my first river crossing. That almost took me away. Strong tide, by the way. Strong current, not tide, whatever. We end up finding camp because we realize it's going to storm later. And if we storm while it's soaking wet and we camp till nighttime and it's going to be hard to make a fire and we're not going to have warmth and we're probably going to die of hypothermia. The next day is a layover day after we find camp, which is really close. And that whole day, it's storming, and a giant tarp is over the campfire. We're singing in front of this fire all day. Crisscross applesauce, which hurts your legs for 7 hours, doing nothing. I'm crying at some points under my blanket while I'm covering myself with it. And I go to bed, with it being like 20 degrees out. Freezing cold. My body's freezing cold. And I get inside a soaking wet sleeping bag. While it's freezing cold outside and I'm freezing cold. About to die of hypothermia that night. That's what Eli literally told me. If you think you're gonna die of hypothermia, you go by that fucking fire. That fire's there for a reason. I don't want you to die. And I was like, okay. As soon as he told me that, I shut the hell up. And I was like, stop. I was like, and I was like, stop being a little bitch. And I just stayed silent, closed my eyes, didn't make a sound, and slept. Freezing cold that entire night. And woke up freezing cold. Went by the fire, and the sun came out. The sun came out. That night, I had asked Jesus to give me warmth. You know what he did? The next day, the sun came out and gave me hella warmth. We all dried our stuff off, packed up, prepared the hike. I sprained my ankle 30 seconds into it. But I pushed on, and people tell me, and I quote, with bloody knuckles, having sprained his ankle and fell down a mountain, you persevered and showed the trail who's boss. That's just an example. The rest of the week of hiking was storms, hail, climbing up mountains, slipping, falling, getting all muddy, suicidal. In the moment, it wasn't suicidal, it was more like I'd rather be dead than having done this shit. But when we made it to camp, we had to set up. This was one of my worst hikes, by the way. After maybe 7 hours of hiking through a storm, up and down mountains, set up camp in the dark, and Eli goes to bed. And fuck me. What did that say? I have no clue what that said. I thought the video turned off for a second. For a minute, I was like, oh shit, whatever. If the video does turn off, I'll make a new one, I guess. But whatever. Eli, our fire maker, goes to bed, and it's up to me and Jude to make a fire. And we did. And I'm not experienced, but I did it. I'm stronger than I think, and I'm so proud of myself. I was crying in front of the fire that night. There's that satisfaction again after a really hard hike. The rest of that week was so hard, and our final hike of that week, shit you not, was 10 hours. Heavy pack on, 10 hours. At least we went through a flat mesa. We had to climb a mountain at the beginning, but it was just flat and slight downhill the whole time until we made it to this place called Final D. We had to move places every week, and the destinations that we go to are called Final D, which is Final Destination. And we meet these 3 new kids, August, Nathan, and Judah. Nice kids, and I get the satisfaction of sleeping that night. And the next day, oh boy, I'm eating raisins in front of tanning on a towel from the sun, carving a spoon. We carved our own spoons out there, by the way, and made our own gifts for our parents, which was really nice. I made some gifts for my mom, like necklaces and pottery. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. And we went swimming that day too, and everybody was all scared to jump in and shit, and I was the first one. Well, they weren't scared. They're like, oh, it's cold, and I was the first one to do a cannonball. Which was nice. That was a good memory that I remember. Since we were very late because of that layover day to our next final D, they shortened it, and we did a satellite on Sunday. And a satellite is basically when you like push it without any breaks or minimum. The max time you can make the final D is Monday. You can't make it before that, and we had to move by Thursday. We were a week late last time, so then we made it out on Friday. No, we made it out on Saturday, so they had to shorten it. They did. We made it there. 30-minute hike on Monday, by the way, which was nice. Made it to camp, and we realized that there's this thing called Skills Week going on. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. I'm being a bit talkative right now. I'm not taking my time. I'm just blowing through this. Eli had been gifted in perpetuity. And gifted basically means when you're like, you've been given an extra week by your parents. You know, they paid $3,000 to gift you another week there. Maximum of 7. And he'd been there for 98 days. He'd been there for 14 weeks, 2 whole walkings. And I remember the moment he told me that he was going to family camp tomorrow, which is basically like you reunite with your parents. I lost it. Because I didn't get the Dawn Star with them. And Dawn Star basically means your final week. Like a Dawn Star is the final star that fades away before the sun comes out. This whole spiritual thing again. If you're a Dawn Star, you're like, it's a new beginning. Your seed of greatness that's within you has sprouted and you've had awakening. Seed greatness is another thing that they use in there, but we made a pie that day. Yes, we made a pie. It was really nice for his final day as a celebration, and I remember getting sick that night. I woke up at 2 in the morning, and I got up, and I puked everywhere. Freezing cold still, went by the fire, went back to bed, woke up the next morning, puked again, and I realized it's Skills Week. It's Wednesday, which we get new trail walkers. They switch out every week, and we also get food packs, our food resupply. We had to clean our cup out in order to get food, but I was just so weak I couldn't do it, and I just got free food that day without having to do any work, which was nice. And we get our new trail walkers, and I puke again after eating some mangoes. Shit's horrible for me, but this final week went by like a breeze. I got lucky. My final week was Skills Week and Easter week. They usually do it on holidays. We got tacos that week, and I was so happy to get tacos. Like, man, it was insane. We also learned how to wire wrap and do cordage that week, so Eli found one of these awesome stones on a hike, and he gave it to me. He's like, turn to a necklace for your mom, and I did exactly just that, and I made the sickest fucking necklace ever. She loved it. What else? Yeah. We got tacos, we got candy on Easter. It was a bit rainy out, but it was just a chill week, you know? It really made me reflect on the challenges that I had faced and the awakenings that I've had. So in order, we go from denial. My first kind of awakening. It was just in the moment kind of thing, but looking back on it, it was like, yeah, that was an awakening. Remorse. My biggest one next up was gratitude. Next up was, I'm getting texted by the trail homies right now. Next one was strength. I'm stronger than I think. And the other one was, my last one was satisfaction. And as in like future gratification, you know when you're like looking at a finish line that's far away and you're like, man, I'm never going to make it to that. And you have a different mindset. You need to be like, it's going to take me some time, but I'm going to get to that finish line. I'm going to climb to the top of that mountain. I'm going to take the biggest break and eat that apple I've been saving in my bag for a while. I did that a lot. I had apples in my bag. We did this thing called Tang apples, or we dip our apples in the candied sugar or whatever. It's basically just powdered fucking flavored sugar. Me and Teo used to eat them. We called them Tapples because they're Tang apples. It was really nice. Then Yeah, I had like, I wouldn't consider denial awakening, but it just seemed like such a big part of my walking. It was crazy. And here I am at the end of my walking, leading hikes. I'm leading. I'm literally leading. I used to be falling behind at the back, crying. Now I'm leading, loud and proud. My back up, not hunched over. That pack ain't holding me down anymore. My legs are stronger. I'm stronger. I'm a better person than I was before. The day comes. I reunite with my mom. She's crying. And I'm like, stop making it awkward because the other trail walkers are watching. I'm like, aw. And we make fire that night. I'm proud of myself. How we made fire was so funny. There are two fire pits. Since this is a camping spot before, and you have to do this thing called no tracing, is where like you'll get a fine if you don't like put out the fire with water because it could catch a forest fire. And you got to make it look like you were never there. There's a fire ring, so we didn't have to make it look like we were never there because the fire rings are like the rocks around it. There's supposed to be a fire there. There are two of those. My mom collects some sticks and rocks and makes her own. And I'm using my friction fire set, which is like you have this bow, right? You put a wooden stick in it. And you gotta use the bow. You put this rock on the stick that's in the bow, and the stick is on a board, and it's a wooden board. The stick and the board are both wooden. You gotta like move the bow and make it spin really fast to create friction to get a coal, which burns around 800 degrees. You got to put it in a bundle of tinder, which is a whole bunch of shredded up wood. You got to blow it in the flame, put a whole bunch of sticks around it, got a fire. I never really did that, and I was very disappointed in myself, and I really wanted to have a fire that night with my mom. I go over to the other fireplace, and out of sheer curiosity, I put my hand on it. It wasn't wet. It was warm. I was like, Mom, holy shit, this fire's hot. And my mom's digging, and she's digging, and she's like, that's a fucking coal. And I'm like, no way. We find a coal in that fire. No, someone was generous. And that same person had left behind jelly beans for us too, which is crazy. These little packets of jelly beans and the eggs that we got for Easter. So obviously the last person in our family camp was a very generous person. They left us behind jelly beans, and they left us behind a coal for a fire, just in case if some less fortunate person couldn't make fire. We took that coal. It was a big fucker too. We blew it into flame, and we had a fire for the next 3 days. Taught her how to make recipes. We made bread. She cooked me food, which was really nice of her, and it was way better than the shit I cooked out there. I taught her how to tie a pack. I made her a spoon while out there because I didn't get to make one on trail, and she ate with it that night. And we went home, and it was beautiful walking into my new room and seeing my family again. And later that week, she bought me a whole bunch of cheesecake, banana pudding she made. We had tacos. We went out to lunch. We went to Five Guys. Then we went to go see Godzilla X Kong, the new Empire in theaters, which is an awesome movie. You know that I'm a Godzilla guy. It was a happily ever after. It didn't really matter, though. I was melancholy very much, and I came home and I was like, man, I missed the trail. I was very melancholy. I was crying at some points because I was happy out there. So I forced myself to be happy at home like I was happy out there, since happiness is a choice. Sadness will always come back in your life, and anxiety and anger. It all goes down to how you deal with it that really matters. And I learned that. Now I'm happy all the time. Still have anxiety attacks sometimes. Like my first day back to school was today, and I cried in the bathroom. I had this breakdown because it was like there's so much chaos, and since I had this whole spiritual awakening in myself, within myself, and discovered parts that I never thought I could discover within my soul, I've gained a lot of abilities. This may sound crazy and all, but I can like feel other people's emotions now, you know? Since I'm able to feel my own and find problems to solve it, I can almost feel the energy that people put off, like whether they have a heart at peace or a heart at war, which are two slogans that they use. You can either have a heart at war, walking backwards, or a heart at peace, walking forwards. And I've learned to have that, and I could sense so many heart of wars at school. And it really made me feel that anxiety. It's tough dealing with that, you know? It's really tough dealing with that, but coming back and making myself be happy helps a lot. I'm glad to be back. I like it out there. Though it was really hard, hiking for 10 hours sometimes, through storms, climbing mountains, sleeping in the freezing cold, making our own food, washing our own cups. But we had fun out there. And I had so much thinking time. I went sometimes to the most beautiful flat area of grass and just sat down. I didn't care if there was bugs on me, and just meditated while hearing the river flow and the birds chirping and the trees flowing in the wind. And looked at this fucking beautiful landscape. And that was the thing that made my seed of greatness sprout. That meditation was like fertilizer to my awakenings. It just shot up. It just shot up, and it was like holy crap, what the hell just happened to me? I look in the mirror now. Before I was like, I'm ugly. I do nothing but bad things. I destroy stuff, I hit, I throw, I'm a piece of shit, I'm entitled, I'm ugly, fuck me, kill me, whatever. I look in the mirror now, and I'm like, I am stronger than I think, and I'm a beautiful dude. I'm everything that I thought I was. I'm not better than anybody else, nor are they better than me. Like I used to think of myself. We are all the same. We all walk as we. And me being aware of that now can help me prevail against all those negative thoughts and walking backwards, and I can now walk forward with the ones that I love. And I want to bring this whole philosophy, insightfulness to school with my friend group to maybe solve some of the tension that's going on. So anyways, time for the fun memories. I remember this first night. I was with Eli in front of the fire, and Isaac and Teo were sleeping. Their sleeping bags next to each other under a tree, and I was like, Eli, I'm gonna go scare them. And they're like, and Eli's like condoning. He's like, yeah, go do that. That'd be fucking awesome. So I remember this moment. This was funny as hell. I go up to them, and I'm doing this army crawl like through a bush, and I get so dangerously close to them under a tree. And I mind you, it's nighttime right now, and the moon is out. And since it's a full moon out, the shadows that it projects are even darker than they are in daytime since it's nighttime. But like when I'm in a shadow, I'm basically invisible to the naked eye. Just as I'm about to scare them, Eli comes walking up. He's like, Payne's playing the scare out by the way. I'm like, you motherfucker. What shocked me the most is he was right next to me when he walked up to them and said that. He walked right next to me. Not past me. He was right next to me. And I was like, how the hell did he not see me? Now I know I'm invisible. The next 7 minutes, they're like, what happened? Where'd he go? Is he playing the scares? Where is he? Did he go to the forest and kill himself? That's what they told me, what they thought. They called Danny and Seabass up here, which are two awesome trail walkers. They come up here and they're like, we can't find Peyton. And I'm like, fuck. So they end up trying to go look for me, and I hear Danny laughing in the background. I was like, okay. And they're like, oh yeah, Peyton's by the fire, down by the fire with us. And I'm like, okay. They could hear the giggling in their voice. The trail walkers knew I was pranking them, so I'm in the clear now. And they know, the kids know that they're bullshitting them because they could hear the giggling in their voice. They're like, what? Who's Peyton? He's in the sleeping bag. They're like, no, he's not. He's like, oh, then he's down by the fire with us. And I was like, okay. So for the next 20 minutes, I'm laying face first into the dirt. They end up discovering my body. And they're like, what is that? Is that a rock? The fuck is that? That's a weird looking rock. We should throw a rock at it. And they're like, yeah, that's a great idea. They're like, no, if it's him, you don't want to give him a concussion. Still, I have an even better idea. Let's throw cow shit at him. So they pick up these cow patties, that's what they call them, because the big dried up cow shit from years ago, and they start throwing them. One hits my head, and I end up convincing them that I'm a rock. They give it 3 more minutes, and they go back down, and they're like, okay, fun, joke's over, where is he? And I make a run for it, and oh my god. For the next 4 minutes maybe, they're all looking for me, and I'm just scurrying around on all fours through the forest. It was like a Scooby-Doo chase. Then, like, I got 5 people looking for me, and I'm just running around the forest, and they can't find me at all. Like I would be right behind them at some points, and I'm running around, and I'm going here, and I'm going there, and they're, like, sometimes I'd be, like, right next to them, and they still can't see me because it's so dark out. And I have pretty good night vision. I end up exposing myself, and I'm like, y'all stupid motherfuckers, and I'm being all noisy and shit. We go to bed, and they start throwing stuff on me, and I was like, and I start making random noises. That noise I just made right there, it's a classic. For the rest of my walking, they mocked me for that. They started doing noises like la 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 li li lulu. You know, it's this whole thing now. We have a lot of ongoing gags, and one of those is the la la. It's just that noise. We do it often, and it's pretty funny. Yep, that's the rock story. Next one up is Turret Peak. Turret Peak Mountain. Pretty hard hike. Climb up a mountain, and we make it to the top, and at the top is this one big hill we have to cross. We get to the very tippy top, and me with a t-shirt on, we had to push through a whole bunch of cat claw, which is a type of thorn bush where the thorns don't go out like this, go like this. So when they get you, they just fucking tear you up. Hold on a second. No, I'm not whipping my cock out. Look at these scars. Take a look at these scars. You may not see them as much. Yeah, there's some right there. Most of them are visible. And look at how tan I am now. People called one of the trail walkers who are Mexican called me Pedro because it was like my Mexican name, and because I said I like brown rice better than white rice too, but whatever, it was funny. And look at this too. Look at how much gains I got on the trail. Anyways, we push through all this cat claw, and we're screaming. And when I mean screaming, like everybody's screaming in the front, and we go to bed that night, and we're dry camping, which means we don't have a fire while camping, because there's no water nearby on the top of the mountain to put out the fires. So we camp, dry camp, no fire, and we all start screaming in the middle of the night, making like cat noises, and screaming and random ass noises, and la la, and I make this bear noise too, like that's another noise that I make. Everybody loves that noise. Oh yeah, there's also this constant ongoing threat of them raping me. It was this thing, they're like, duct tape can't save you, and they'd touch me at some points, but that was just them being friendly and playful. Like, one of them would just like play with my face almost. This was like it's just like sometimes grab my chin. At one point, it was this Dawn Star, he humped me. And he was like, it's my Dawn Star, I don't care. And I was like, okay, bro. Yeah, and they all threaten to rape me sometimes, but jokingly. And I allowed it because trail crazy. They've been out there long enough. They are deprived of all society, and they don't really give a shit about anything anymore. It was some good times. And the next morning, we wake up and we start hiking down this mountain. And I get to this area where it's kind of like, I had a heavy pack that morning, and I get to this area where I go down this steep slope, and mind you, the mountain is so steep you can't trust any of your steps. Rocks will fall under your feet every second. The pack is so heavy, I tried to walk back up the sandy slope that I accidentally went down. I went left instead of right, and I can't go back up it to go right because left was a dead end. Little did I know it wasn't a dead end. I slip, I fall a good 20 feet down a cliff and onto a tree. I hear from the top, it was either Isaac or Teo that were falling behind me, wolfing me. Which is Way of the Wolf is like, it's this thing how they let the slowest wolf in the pack lead the front. And Isaac and Teo used to do that to show respect. And they're like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. They end up giving me, my pack fell apart and they had to redo it. And they're like, you felt like a man, now you gotta walk like a man. So I did. Making the final D the next day, and, awesome. We also did other activities, like we caught crawdads in the ocean, and, oh my god, it was so fucking funny. We caught these crawdads, right, which are, invasive species. We caught, 30 of them in a bandana, and, when it started raining, we started sacrificing some of them, putting them between rocks and smashing them. They're like, sacrifice. It was so fucked up, but they're invasive species, so I didn't really care. It was funny though. It was like dark humor. There's dark humor, then there's dark humor. That was dark humor, and it was fucked up, but it was funny. I remember at one point, one of the trail walkers had their spoon with them, and in the band tied up bandana with like 40 crawl, Dad said we start beating the bandana with the fucking spoon. It was so, that was dark humor right there. That's even worse than dark humor. We cooked them and we ate them, and everybody's taking their time pulling the tail off and taking the intestine digestive cord out with all the poop in it, and eating the tail and spending 20 minutes just to get a tiny bite that's less than a fucking Flintstones gummy. Meanwhile, I take a whole crawdad and eat the whole thing. I just eat it cooked. Obviously, I'm not that crazy, but I just eat the whole thing, and they're like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And I was like, "No. Are you kidding me? Did you in Tennessee one time eat the brain of a crawfish? No, it was a lobster at a hibachi grill buffet. That's what I thought. Yeah, I did that one time. I remember that moment vividly. It was crazy. It was like I think it was a lobster or a crawfish. It was a pretty big one too. I ate the brain of it because I'm like that. I'm crazy. I'm not. It was cooked. It was at a buffet. It tasted really nice. All right. Yeah, we did other fun things like swimming. I told you about the swimming and making spoons. I carved a lot of spoons too, which was nice, and I got a lot of gains. Like, look how skinny and strong my legs are now. Like, I could run a marathon. Like, I came back like Usain Bolt. I can run so fast now, it's unbelievable. And I got to choose my electives or specials at school when I got back for my first time. And I chose two that would benefit me. Teacher assistant and piano were both booked. So I chose PE to keep my athletic physique, and business and economics because I want to get a part-time job over the summer, and I need to learn how to take account of all the money that I want to make and what I need to do with it. I need to learn about taxes too. So educate myself on business can definitely help with that. I want to learn how to get a, like I said, part-time job. I want to learn how to drive a car over the summer. I have a lot of plans, and I may not be able to make as much videos, but I'll try to keep y'all updated about the stuff that's going on. I remember we had so many ongoing gags and jokes too. Like, the trail walkers. I need to brag about the trail walkers for a second. They're such awesome people. They're better than teachers in every way possible. They make, doesn't matter how hard of a time you're having there, they make it the most comfortable experience as possible when you're in front of the fire by cussing like sailors just like us, or making them sexual jokes, or involving themselves in stupid conversations like, would you rather have sex with Hulk Hogan with the pussy or Megan Fox with the dick, like this one trail walker did. And he thought about it on Knife Watch, and the next day he brought it up, and they're like, can she tape it to her leg? And I'm like, what the fuck? He said such stupid stuff, and I was having a bad day that morning, and it just made my day so much better, and I laughed, and I was like, it was awesome. If it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't be here. At the same time, them being silly, they were also the adults they needed to be. They gave us the proper protection and education that we needed to complete our walking, and I pay respect to them for that. And they all bragged about me too. They said I was hilarious, and during my SOTAL, which is speaking of the talking of the heart, which is basically like on your final night, you go around in a circle and tell everybody your seeds of greatness, and they tell yours, and you share memories about your walking, and they ask you questions about what will happen when you get out. Everybody in that circle said, I'm fucking hilarious. When the trail walker said, you're hilarious, you're a stud, I was given the nickname Champion for how hard I pushed. People said I was absolutely hilarious, and the hardest they've ever laughed with on trail was from me. And I've don't mean to toot my own horn, but people have said I'm a very funny guy, and I've been voted the funniest kid at school. I would hear from my friends, oh yeah, I'm in class, the whole class was talking about how funny you were. And that would happen pretty often, and I could tell they weren't bullshitting me either, and the teachers were talking too about, how funny I was, and I was like, man, I'm a real comedian. I feel like that, and I still want to be my funny self, but I don't want to try to be funny. I just naturally am, and I want to keep that. Which I don't mean to toot my own horn, but speaking of that, I was talking to my barber after getting my first haircut in 7 weeks. And I was telling her about my experience, and she was like, "You have bragging rights, you know that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'm not much of a bragger, but I have." She literally told me that I have bragging rights, which is pretty funny. Because I fell down a mountain with 50 pounds on my back, a good 20 feet onto a tree, through a thorn bush. I guess I have bragging rights now. I'm not the biggest bragger, but it was great. It's one of the greatest experiences of my life, but it was one of the hardest, one of the most challenging, and I'm glad I got to share it with y'all. And anyways, this video is getting long, so I want to go ahead and show y'all something that I made. Me and my mom made it. It was a little thing that we made after the trail. It's a little museum of all our collections. Alright, here is our museum. This is my fireboard. This is the stick I was telling you about. This is the spindle. Spin it into one of these holes, create friction. This is the rock socket that we hold the stick in. This is my pottery that I made. Inside there is the piece of corn that I got. That's my seed of greatness. This little note right here that was inside the piece of pottery is my trail name that I was given. Strong-Rooted Buffalo. We have gotten a pleasure to get to know your seeds of greatness through your walking. We see strength, perseverance, positivity, and light within you. We encourage you to call upon the skills and strength through your walking in life. We are happy to know you and all you stand for. We all get our own trail names out here. It's a name that represents our significance, that the significance that are of the traits that our seed of greatness shows when it sprouts. And that was mine. My Dawn surname, Strong-Rooted Buffalo. We have our beads up here that we made on a piece of wood that we collected from the trail to keep with us. This is the water bead. This is my bead. This is the Strong-Rooted Buffalo bead, and this is the ones I put on top of it. The red is to represent the struggles that I went through. The flowers on this one is to represent the fun. The circle, the clear one, is supposed to represent the peacefulness and the heart of peace that I gained. This is a little bit of the trail that I collected, and this is supposed to represent the earth that it came with. It's the circle. Anasazi is all about circles. Like everything that comes around goes around. Like everything is a circle. The sun is a circle, Nothing is really squares. It's like life is a circle itself, the circle of life, Yeah, I forgot to show y'all too. This is the cup that we had to eat out of, and this is the tinder I was talking about, the blowing the flame. Get the fire. A trail walker named Allison gave us these beads. She made for us. They're really nice. I want to consider this the path of hiking. This is what I call it. This is the riverbeds that we went through, the mesas and the mountains that we climbed. And these have leaves on them, and I want them to represent the nature that we saw. This is my fire bead. This is my fire bead that I got at my rabbit stick. At the end of my rabbit stick, the trail walkers gave me this. These 4 things are representing the fire bow, the spindle, the rock socket, and the fireboard. The red is supposed to represent the coal that we get. The black is to represent the tinder that we blow it into, and the yellow is the flame. The beads I put on top of it this is to represent the coal bed for a fire, and this is to represent the flame. These are the bandanas that we get on the trail. We get a whole bunch of these every week. They come in different colors, but purple's the most common, so I kept this one. These are the spoons that I made. I made this one for myself, which I never done woodworking my entire life, so I impressed myself. This is the one I made for my mom on her final day here because, I was too lazy to make her one. I never really got the time to do it, but I do admit I was kind of lazy. This is the talking stick that we use to do our kumbaya in front of the fire, and every time we want to say something, we say, I'd like to make a speaking, and we make our speaking during a fire circle, which is basically we talk about certain topics, and it was really nice. And this is my my remembrance pouch with my beads on it. My first trail name was Gentle Cloud Beaver. I never liked it either. This is my frost knife, sheathed, sharpened, Don't want to take it out. Highly protected. I love it. This is my certificate for completing my walking. Anasazi Foundation, we clarify that Peyton Payne honorably completed the making of a walking February 16th, my birthday, to April 4th, 2024. It was signed by Ezekiel Sanchez, the founder himself, and Michael. I don't know who Michael is, but oh yeah, this is the necklace I made for my mom, by the way. It's the stone that Eli found, the wire wrapping I learned how to do on Skills Week, and another trail walker helped me do this cordage with some black sinew. This is the museum of everything that I've gained and kept on the trail. It's really been a life-changing experience. Now, let's get back to our little, put my camera back in its place. Oh, there it is. I'm back. Now, where do we go from here? I want to keep y'all updated. I may not be playing games as much. I'm more connected to the outdoors, and games kind of stress me out now and give me anxiety and remind me of the old me. Just toxic and bad and sad and pathetic, honestly. So, I do want to keep y'all updated. If I do get a part-time job, I will have a lot of great video ideas, maybe story times, or I'll occasionally record at work or record my progress if I do start to learn how to drive. Other than that, it's been a really nice journey, and I really hope some of you OG fans tune in to watching my videos again and seeing the new me. This is the new me. And I have completed my walking. My walking on the trail. Now I must complete my walking in life. And as we, a community of society, if y'all do see this video, let's walk forward together and make good decisions. And y'all should really look into the philosophy and of the trail of Anasazi, of the foundation. It's really got some life-changing aspects to it. Props to them. Awesome people that at the place that I went to. They really changed my life, and I've come back a changed person. My name is Strong Rooted Buffalo, or Peyton TV 365. I'll see you guys in the next one very soon. Signing out.